Once again, people are buzzing about Rolling Stone, and once again, that may not be a good thing. First, it was that now discredited story about rape at UVA. Now, it's an ethically dubious exclusive featuring one of the world's most wanted criminals, who's not wanted anymore. Adam has more.
It was a huge journalistic get, the drug kingpin known as El Chapo sitting down to discuss his life and times. But it wasn't a journalist who got the interview.
Actor and activist Sean Penn meeting with the fugitive drug lord in October of 2015.
Penn worked with Mexican actress Kate Del Castillo to set up the clandestine Q&A, then wrote about it for Rolling Stone. But there were some significant strings attached.
El Chapo could vet the story before they published it. I think that's an outrage.
Rolling Stone says El Chapo didn't request any changes, which makes sense. Penn's article is a self-indulgent puff piece that's mostly about Sean Penn, though it does suggest El Chapo has been unfairly demonized. Still, the drug lord may be wishing he hadn't participated. The day before Penn's story was published, El Chapo was recaptured, and dealings with Penn and Del Castillo may have played a role. For the record, Penn disputes that.
We had met with him many weeks earlier.
But Penn also says his piece didn't spark the drug war debate he'd hoped for.
My article failed. Let me be clear. My article has failed.
Maybe that's what happens when an actor decides to play reporter.
I mean, this piece was just horrible. I mean, John was ripping it out of my hand saying, you can't read that. It's
Friends don't let friends read a Sean Penn article. That's my credo.
I mean, I said, well, is there an actual interview in here? And you had to go through, what, 30 pages before that. And the first question was, what was your family life like?
Yeah. What's your favorite juice, orange or grapefruit, essentially?
Yeah. No, it was horrible. But, I mean, you know, Rolling Stone, I can see why they printed it. I mean, you got Sean Penn, you got one of the world's most notorious drug lords, you got access to him. I mean, the vetting part is bizarre. I mean, why they needed to agree to that seems, I'm having a hard time even believing that. Maybe Sean Penn offered that and said, oh, by the way, I told the guy I could, but I can't imagine that Rolling Stone would suggest it.
What does Rolling Stone cost? What, $3? I don't think I've ever bought it, or I used to steal it when I was a kid. But so let's say $3. What's a 12-pack of Charmin toilet tissue cost? I mean, really, this was horrible, just horrible. And let's not forget, this is the same magazine that printed the apparently completely false University of Virginia rape story and printed the vile puff piece on Jawhar Tsarnaev.
Oh, yeah.
You may recall, with the gauzy, retouched photograph of him. You know, I don't know what to say other than Sean Penn claims that what he was out to do was start a conversation about the drug war. Well, that's complete nonsense and gibberish. He didn't have the slightest idea what he was doing, and really, save your $3, spend it on Sharman.
I mean, he does bring up, you know, criminals in jail and the drug problem and everything, but it's well into the piece. I did see that, but it's certainly not the focus. So for him to say he failed, he didn't even make that his point.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I will confess I did not read the whole thing.
It's quite all right.
Wise choice.
I got 4,000 words into it, and then finally El Chapo shows up. And then I scanned through the rest of it, and I could see that the interview consisted of, you know, a short number of questions at the very end that weren't even asked by Sean Penn. I don't care that Sean Penn is not a journalist. I don't think that matters. What we do is not rocket science, but he was clearly not up to the task in any way. He was just feeding his ego. I don't even mind the fact that Rolling Stone wanted to do an interview with El Chapo, but the vetting was just nauseating. And the fact that El Chapo said, hey, this is pretty good, no problem, that was even worse.
Well, I think Guzman himself, El Chapo, made it clear when he said, what's that actor's name again? I mean, really, it was not even on the same planet with him. I didn't even pretend, I don't have to confess about it, that it was horribly written. You know, at least be well written and, you know, be a puff piece if you're going to have a puff piece. Somebody in one of the pieces that we read said they likened it to a celebrity profile, except this was a celebrity profile is usually interesting. We did learn some interesting things. I mean, El Chapo said, hey, I'm a drug kingpin. Okay, we kind of knew that, but he gave some details. I just think This is all ridiculous in every way. The fact that they would allow any vetting, even though he chose not to do it, because he couldn't even remember the guy's name. The fact that Sean Penn honestly thought this was going to start a discussion, if he was really serious about it, get some people who've been working for this for a long time to go in with you and figure out how to make this mean something, but that wasn't the point. It was just to showcase his little interest. It's sad, it's pathetic, it's sickening, and it's, you know, a big killer of trees.
You know, the postscript is hilarious, where now El Chapo's lawyer apparently has complained that El Chapo was misquoted when he was allegedly said he was the world's biggest trafficker in cocaine, marijuana.
He meant to say second.
Yeah, that's right.
Guess he should have vetted it.
So we'll see if Rolling Stone does a correction next week.
And super quickly, not a word about the many, many journalists slaughtered by this sleaze bag over the years. Thanks a lot. Great journalism.
Yeah.